If I would look back now at my journey, both academically and professionally, I would tell myself that all of that time that I was putting in it was well worth it. I'm Dr. Peacock. I'm the head strength and conditioning and sports scientist here at Cliff Fight Club. I studied exercise physiology at Kent State University. I was a college football player prior to getting into coaching. Following football, it was an easy transition into strength and conditioning as I was studying my master's and then eventually my PhD. Vitor Belfort reached out to me for his world title fight against Chris Weidman. He was looking to apply some laboratory techniques. He was looking to apply some sports science techniques in his preparation for that title camp. So that was really my first introduction to Henry, Greg, and all of the coaches here at Cliff Fight Club. I've been with them for the past 10 years. I would say I've built trust through results. I've built trust through my approach. You know, I'm not out here trying to get notoriety, to get clout, to get fame in this world. I've stayed behind the scenes, and I think I've provided very, very good and quality work with these athletes, and I think the results are why Henry and I are still working together. Communication between the coaches is critical. It's once a week we're sitting down drawing up the game plan for the week. We're also communicating on a daily basis at what the stimuli looks like for each day, specifically what my strength and conditioning is going to look like in collaboration with the different practices that it falls on. So things like wrestling, Greg, Jones, and I are going to communicate after each wrestling practice as to what the strength and conditioning workout is going to look like, what some of the parameters are going to look like. So everything is based on communication and a plan that the coaches have put together and set out to accomplish. It's so critical as a strength and conditioning coach to be present, to have your eyes on the athletes every single day. If your only way to gauge these athletes is through their word, you're in a bad situation. You have to understand what these athletes are going through. You have to be able to see it with your own two eyes to be able to provide the best workout, to be able to provide the best strength and conditioning strategies based on what stimuli and what practice these athletes are going through. I think when you look at strength and conditioning in MMA, there are a lot of tasks that go along with this. You know, to many of the athletes, I'm the source of information when it comes to weight cutting. I'm the source of information when it comes to recovery. I'm the source of information when it comes to medical aspects and injuries. So that's the biggest thing about this strength and conditioning role. I have to wear a lot of hats and or put the right people together to be able to address those pieces of their preparation. So that's been the biggest thing where it's like, as a strength coach, I'm not just a strength coach. I'm also collecting data, I'm also collecting weights, I'm also holding the athletes accountable so that we can make weight on fight week and implementing all of the different strategies for this preparation all the way up until the fight. So when you look at the landscape of our team, there's probably 60% of our team that is here year-round, where I have contact with them every single day, every single strength session, year-round. There's also about 40% of our fighters that live all over the world, different countries, different time zones, and those kind of things. So I have to be able to coordinate, you know, via online training, via Zoom, whatever the case might be. We have a built-in platform that we're able to reach all of the different athletes and make sure that they are still following the strength and conditioning plan, the nutrition plan, the sports science plan, even when they're out of camp, even when they're not physically here. The out of camp and the in camp approach to strength and conditioning is much different. The out of camp approach is a little more volume, maybe even an additional day. In my experience, the out of camp time is to really build the tolerance and capacity to be able to handle camp. In camp is a lot of less volume, a lot more power, a lot more preparation for the fight. It has to coincide with the fight plan, with the fight schedule, and really work as a cohesive unit. I think the biggest thing about MMA is that it challenges science, it challenges my background as an exercise physiologist. I think that's why I've hung around this sport for so long. The sport being so new, there's always emerging data, there's always emerging research, there's always emerging topics in sports preparation that are new and somewhat cutting edge in this population. So I think that's the biggest thing, is that we are continuing to push the envelope using science, using research to be able to better prepare these fighters. I think the science is definitely improving athlete safety. When I look at our numbers alone here at Kill Cliff Fight Club, injuries have decreased drastically based on this implementation of science, and I think you could probably see that as sort of a norm across all of the different camps that are utilizing these techniques. When you look at some of the top names in MMA right now, from Michael Chandler to Kamaru Usman to Jason Jackson to Brendan Allen, and the list goes on here in this gym specifically, it's been really rewarding to see the success of these fighters. I mean, when you really look at it, there was a point in time where we started at the bottom. We were starting relatively at the bottom with a lot of these guys. They were all in a new venture, really just starting this journey into MMA, so it's amazing to see them now at the top of this sport. So it's been an amazing opportunity to work with Jason Jackson. I've known Jason and worked with Jason for over 16 fights now. So Jason and I have been through it. The highs, the lows, the opportunities, the titles. We've been able to do this all together, and we've stuck to the plan. That to me has been so important in seeing his maturity, seeing his growth, both physically and mentally. The opportunity to be able to finally watch this all culminate in his title fight, being in his corner in Chicago, was one of the most rewarding experiences of my career. Being able to see that moment where he's achieved his goals, and being able to see that moment where he's changed not only his life, but the life of his family that I've also gotten to know throughout this journey, is amazing. Being able to corner Jason for that world title fight was extremely rewarding. There was excitement, there was fear, there was a lot of different things going through my body. You know, I'm not the guy that makes that walk every single time to go out there and do this. So going out there at the biggest stage for the biggest fight of his career was crazy for me. Being able to sit there and see him prepare, to see him dial in, to see all of those things, it was extremely rewarding for me, and I think it's a testament to the trust we've been able to build over the years. Looking up at the Kill Cliff champion wall above the door is such a nostalgic experience when I look at that, thinking back at some of the experiences with the athletes that have now retired, all the way up until the athletes that are still continuing to pursue their dreams and pursue their goals. It's extremely humbling to know that every single athlete up on that wall, I have been a part of that success, a part of that camp, a part of that preparation for those really, really important fights. I think it's a testament when you look at that wall to the guys that are on that wall, because they've followed the program here at Kill Cliff Fight Club. They have followed the plan that Henry, Greg, myself, and all of the other coaches have put together for them. And as you can see, it's led to championships and success. Looking at the younger generations that would like to get into strength and conditioning, sports performance, specifically in mixed martial arts, my advice to them would be get involved early. And what I mean by that is, not everybody's going to be in a situation where potentially your first client is Hall of Famer Vitor Belfort. But I'm going to tell you this, there are so many amateurs, there are so many different aspects of mixed martial arts, including Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, even looking at wrestling, looking at kickboxing, looking at boxing. There are so many different avenues of people that get into these sports. Get involved at the lowest level. Work with a BJJ guy, work with a wrestling guy. When you look at my journey of some of the success, you know, you look at, I'll give Kamaru Usman as an example. When I started training Kamaru Usman was 4-1 and hasn't fought in the UFC yet. I don't want to sit there and say that he was at the bottom, but I was able to find somebody that was willing to work, somebody that was able to trust me, and grow with them, grow in this sport. So that's my advice to any younger generation. Get involved at the lowest level and watch this thing grow. I've chose to continue down this route for two reasons. One, it challenges everything that I know as a scientist from a physiological aspect. That has kept me around MMA for nearly a decade. This gym specifically is the only gym that is treating this like a professional sport, that are providing these athletes the resources, that are providing these athletes objective data that are treating this the same way you would see an NBA team, an NFL team, a Major League Baseball team approach their athletics in terms of the resources, the technology, and the preparation. The future is so bright here at Kill Cliff Fight Club. For me, I cannot wait to see the opportunities and the success. There are so many young fighters that are up and coming that are going to be very successful, and there are some athletes right now that are on the cusp of a title. The future holds more titles and more success for our up and coming athletes.